Thank you for the introduction, Dong, and thank you for everything that you do in your role with Mortgage Professionals Canada. Good afternoon, everybody. Yeehaw, let's talk about pitfalls. I'm not talking about the retro video game pitfall either. I'm going to talk about some of the boneheaded things I did at the start of my career. And I'm so glad you've logged in for this session because I think I can save many of you from making the same mistakes. You guys are all really fortunate that my life has been just chock full of mistakes, mostly little teeny tiny little ones. But you can learn from me on what not to do. And if you hang in till the end, I'm going to give you a list of 5 specific things that you can do now to get on the path to success. Woo, bonus. Anyhow, you guys have a challenge in front of you, and you know that. You've joined a competitive industry where very little is handed to you on a platter. And the story I'm going to tell you could be presented in one of 2 ways. We could take it in a negative direction and talk about all the reasons that some new agents fail. We could focus on the barriers to success and why a mortgage brokering career is a short one for many licensees. But that's not really my style. Let's go with the second option in terms of direction of this conversation. Let's look at it from an optimistic and positive angle, and not a naive or false positive kind of angle, but a positive and optimistic one. There's many reasons to be super excited about your choice to pursue a mortgage career, not the least of which is the tremendous upside potential in terms of income. Off the top of my head, I can think of several close connections whose tax returns in 2021 are going to show over $1 million in commission, some above that. As our TMG's founder, Grant Thomas, once said, I've seen this business take many people's lives from ordinary to extraordinary. Honestly, there's nothing cooler than seeing a new agent transition over the course of 2 to 3 years from maybe driving an older car, and then their next thing you know, they're picking up their shiny new BMW at the dealership. And I've actually seen this scenario play out dozens of times. And oh, by the way, the top 25% of mortgage agents in Ontario, this is just rough estimates, are probably pulling in 6 figures. And off the top of my head, I'd also guess the top 10% are bringing in maybe even 3 times that, 300,000 or more. But of course, we could go back in that negative direction and talk in kind of hushed whispers about the agents who never sell a single mortgage, and there are plenty, or the people who take on this career half-heartedly and maybe make a few $1,000s. Before deciding that a salaried position is more their style. So breaking news, guys, some new agents, mortgage agents will fail. But out of this audience that's viewing the session today, I would say the rules of probability, there's some future millionaires in the crowd. And then there's many who will build 6-figure incomes and beyond. And it's not even all just about the money. This job provides thousands of mortgage agents the opportunity to pick up their kids at the bus stop or to hit the grocery store on a weekday. One of the things that has given me the most satisfaction personally in this career is the fact that I've made so many incredible friendships along the way. This industry has a way of connecting like-minded people. And the result obviously is that thousands of friendships are formed every year. Even more enriching than all of that stuff is the reward that you receive when you help a first-time home buyer accomplish their dream of owning a home. Or you find a way to take stress off of a struggling self-employed person by refinancing, whatever it might be, restructuring to reduce their monthly expenses and free up some cash so they can keep the doors open, especially in 2021. You're making a real difference. So let's get to the topic at hand, which is the 7 mistakes I made when I started my mortgage career. And these are not fictitious stories and they're not embellished. Okay, so mistake number 1. When I started this career, I was directionless, literally. Okay, I had the desire to succeed, but absolutely no idea how to make it happen. And on the first day in commission mortgage sales, this is when I talk about being literally directionless. I woke up nice and early, put on my best business suit, polished dress shoes, and I got in my car and I had a full stack of crisp new business cards, and off I went down the street. And as I turned the corner, I realized I had no idea where I was heading. I was directionless. I hadn't planned it. I just felt compelled to get in my car and get out there. For years prior, I'd gone to work at the bank branch. So everything was predictable. I had my 30-minute lunch, ended my shift at a predetermined time and headed home. But on my first day outside of salaried life, I was sitting there in that Chevy Cavalier with no idea whatsoever on where to go. And ultimately, I made a decision to go to a builder site, and I walked in sheepishly, handed over my business card. I made small talk with the site rep, and I was almost relieved when the small talk came to a conclusion so I could scurry back to my car and head home and contemplate how this was the worst decision I'd ever made. And I'm feverishly flipping through the career section of the newspaper, trying to find a job that fit me better, such as maybe a career sweeping up monkey turds at the local zoo. I bet you didn't think monkey turds would be mentioned in today's sessions. Anywho, I was having a crisis, and this is a very real thing. And a couple of weeks later, something even worse happened. On my payday, instead of getting my usual guaranteed paycheck, about $75 were actually withdrawn from my bank account to pay for my benefits plan. This did not go over very well at the dinner table that night. So there I was. I was at a bit of a crossroad. But people who know me would say I've never wanted to give up without a fight. And I use this series of regrettable events to motivate me to build a proper business plan, to map out a strategy to make myself a success and avoid those negative paychecks. First off, I made a list of all the people I could think of, connections that I had, friends, family, business connections, potential referral sources, local business owners, and then I systematically called each one of them. That's it. I just called each one of them to see how I could help and maybe give them some examples or explanations on ideas that I had to maybe help them. And in that first year in mortgage sales, I ended up bringing home a salary that was an income that was literally 4 times my salary at the job the previous year, or the previous year's T4. So it was a good turnaround. So whether it was the shock of the negative paycheck or the exercise of writing out that list of contacts, things clicked for me and launched me into a career in mortgage sales. In terms of takeaways from today's session, I recommend that anyone who hasn't already done so goes through this exercise of writing down or typing out the names and contact info of everyone you know. Look for obvious and hidden opportunities. Does your friend own a small business? Is there an opportunity maybe where you could come in and do a lunch and learn session? Are you friends with an established realtor? Could you ask them to introduce you to the rising stars in their office? Do you have a financial planner? Are they aware that you can help their clients? When you bought your house, who was your lawyer? Do they know you're in the mortgage business and you're eager for their referrals? Make your list. But bear in mind one thing, it is absolutely useless to make a list if you do not commit yourself to making quality contacts. A goal without a plan is a wish, and a plan without execution is a waste. You must provide value. And that's leads me kind of to my second blunder, which was I didn't actually realize that I needed to provide real value, and I didn't provide real value to prospective clients and referral sources. Yeah, I had a handful of connections, like I said, probably the same number you have, if you really think it through, but I didn't realize yet that I would have to actually do something to provide value to them before they would do business with me. I guess I thought they'd be so impressed that I passed a mortgage licensing course that all the business would just fall from the sky into my lap, and it didn't, and it won't. When it came to dealing with clients, I was also far too focused on the transaction, not at all focused on guiding and building rapport with them. I didn't have a client intake form. I didn't have a formal process of explaining my role in their financing request. And I didn't explain ways that I could help them, whether it's through things like the RSP homebuyers plan, introductions to trusted partners, my lawyers, etc. I was an order taker, nothing more. I remember an aha moment that I experienced that helped me change my ways. I was sitting in the office watching a colleague from my team enter a new application for some of her clients. She had her head down and was barely even making eye contact with them, and was barking out questions to them with all the charm of a drive-through worker at Wendy's. Okay, address, employer. Okay, it's true, and it made me cringe. And it occurred to me at that moment that our job as mortgage professionals is not just to key in fields on application software. Our job is to engage and assist our clients, treating them as if they're part of our own family, protecting them against risks they might not be aware even exist. It's about knowing our job well enough to be aware of opportunities to help them. And this goes back to our referral partners. We have to remember that many of them are continuously solicited by bankers and brokers, and they're not just going to jump to send you business because you passed a course. But if you can provide something others don't, you might just earn their referrals. This could be as simple as a handout for their open houses that shows estimated mortgage payments for the property. Most brokerages provide templated ones, or acting as their go-to when they have questions about mortgage rules. You can educate them on rule changes, strategies like purchase plus improvements to help them sell their tough listings, which I know most listings aren't too tough in 2021, but the time will return where it is. They do get stuck with kind of a dog of a listing, and the purchase plus improvements program is perfect for that. Find things that they value and deliver on it. The most successful mortgage agents I know show their gratitude to clients and referral sources continuously. Some start off by providing a little thank you gift. Maybe it's a $5 Tim card at the time of application, sending a pizza on moving day, following up with a personalized gift after funding that you drop off in person, maybe with your referral partner as well. They then add their clients and their referral partners to their CRM, so they're staying in touch. They make it clear that they want this to be a long-term relationship, not just a transaction. You could actually even verbalize, I want to be your mortgage agent for life. Borrow that from a mortgage friend. It took me a while to learn this. You need to work as hard on your relationships with your clients and your referral partners as you do on actually processing the deals. Work as hard on helping your connections as you do on your advertising, your social media. And if you build that contact list that we discussed, think of the value that you can bring to help each individual on your list, and write that down how you might be able to help them. Go into the call with an open mind, but bring it up when you contact them. Third blunder, I was too nice. Remember these words that I'm about to say. If you find yourself in a scenario where a little bit of entrepreneurial courage might put food on your table or dollars in your bank account, jump on the opportunity. This is one major impulse that separates the mortgage agents who struggle from the ones who thrive. And since I'm talking about mistakes I made, I'll share an embarrassing one that still bugs me to this day. A friend of mine said their mortgage was coming up for renewal at RBC, and I asked them, I said, well, I can help you understand what they're offering you. Let me know, let me have a look at the paper. So I told them, no big deal. If you want, you can just renew with them, and instead of working with me, no problem. I was playing the role of the typical Canadian, passive to a fault. Sorry, eh? And in the interest of being completely transparent, I felt that I didn't want them to feel forced to work with me just because I was their pal. They interpreted this, they told me later, as meaning that I was disinterested and didn't want to do business with them. They also told me later they thought it would be a pain to do the mortgage through me because there's going to be all sorts of appraisals and all those other expenses, which is totally false. It was a high ratio mortgage that could have been switched with ease. I did not explain my value proposition as an agent, and I didn't show the confidence needed to earn their business. I wimped out, didn't explain why they would have saved money by working with me, lost thousands in potential commissions. It was a failure. But lucky for me, failure is often more of a gift than a curse. My failures, and there have been many, as I mentioned, they taught me lessons that I needed to learn to become better at my job. In this case, failing to seize an opportunity led me to learn that I needed to be more assertive and to ask for the business. This mistake helps me to this day because every time I hear myself heading towards being too passive or too nice, a little bell goes off in my head and reminds me, jump on this opportunity. And when you feel your heart pounding because you've identified an opportunity, don't let your nice little Canadian brain talk you out of it. Push forward, seize the chance to put food on your table, money in your bank account, and to help others. Number 4, I surrounded myself with negativity. I remember back in early 80s, going to my dad's workplace, and I saw a poster on the wall that said, "It's hard to soar with the eagles when you work with a bunch of turkeys." And I thought that was hilarious. I thought it was the funniest thing I'd ever seen. But it turned out to be actually a premonition, because in the 1990s, I found myself working on a team of about 10 to 12 mortgage professionals. And, as with any peer group, you inevitably gravitate towards some people more than others. And I found myself hanging out with the cool kids, meeting regularly over lunch and cold beverages, where inevitably the conversation would kind of devolve into a complaint fest. We would talk about how awful some of the underwriters were. We talked about our boss being unsupportive. We talked about, how we didn't have good enough rates to get the business. And some of my colleagues even trashed other colleagues who weren't there to defend themselves. We were commiserating and, bonding in a weird sort of way. And it was, sure, we had plenty of laughs, but what we were doing was subconsciously driving each other down into the dirt and demotivating one another. Meanwhile, I would leave those meetings and fill the rest of my life listening to this negativity, listening to Howard Stern and negative music. This is 1990s, so grungy kind of stuff. Now I realize life is a little bit different in 2021. The culture of socializing with your fellow agents has evolved, I would say, but the key messages are still very pertinent. Surround yourself with positive people, learn from them, and help them. I am incredibly fortunate to work with some iconic members of the mortgage industry, and I've made a real conscious effort to try to learn from them. Here are some of the things I've learned from spending time with positive people. Number 1, you choose your attitude. You can choose to be happy or down in the dumps. Anytime you feel yourself heading in that down in the dumps direction, you can train your brain to put positive thoughts in place of the negative. Number 2, live your life with integrity. Love and respect yourself, and the results will be contagious. Number 3, this is a Warren Buffett quote: don't sleepwalk through life. Take advantage of each day. I have this actually taped to my mirror, and when I wake up, it's the first thing I see. Number 4, this is another big one. Recognize that there's value in everyone, not in the sense of value you can extract from them, but in the sense of value that the things that you can learn from them. Number 5, success is obviously defined in different ways. I mentioned earlier that $300,000 income or whatever, but maybe you define success as making enough income to sustain your lifestyle and to travel. Maybe you measure it in terms of the number of people you've helped and impacted. So much to learn from positive people. And while we're on this topic, treat your underwriters like gold. We need to treat them very well. They have a very challenging job. But that was a quick aside. But now I find myself, I do my best to connect with as many upbeat and positive people as possible. I listen to positive podcasts, not corny ones or cheesy ones, but authentic ones that put a smile on my face or make me think. I'm lucky. I have a few people I consider to be my mentors, one of whom is my father. And he's the guy I can call when I have a problem to solve or just want to hear his opinions on a subject. I try to fill my life with good things and always try to live my life to the fullest of the way I define that. If you find yourself that you're in low supply of positive people around you, no problem. There's books, there's YouTube, they can fill the void. My personal favorite book on this topic, and I actually have it here, is called The Little Gold Book of Yes Attitude. It helped me personally through some challenging times. If ever I was feeling down, or I felt like giving up on something, I would open this book and read a few pages to get my mind back on track. There were even a couple of occasions where I was traveling and got hit with some bad news. And what I would do is head straight to the nearest Indigo store, go to the business section, find this book and open it up, and it would put me back on track. Another great book, Napoleon Hill's legendary book, Think and Grow Rich. It's a must for everyone. I have a book on order right now called The Four Agreements by Don Miguel Ruiz. My mentors have recommended it, and you might benefit from it too. One of the core concepts of the book is to operate with integrity, and be true to your word. You might, this is a little off topic, but you might find yourself in a situation where a referral source will ask you to fudge the numbers or to knowingly withhold information. Some referral sources will even attempt to slip through applications with bad documents, fraudulent documents. And if you think you might fall for that or be like, well, what's the big deal? You may as well log off now and surrender your mortgage license. You need to surround yourself with good people with good intentions. And I know that the people who are logged in today are the good ones, the positive ones, and I thank you for that. YouTube, I mentioned countless YouTube gurus with positive messages. I'm not a guru by any stretch, but I'm working on my own YouTube channel. You can find it by searching for me, Steve Clark TMG. And the purpose is positive thoughts for mortgage professionals. It's your choice to decide what messages you allow to flow through your noggin. And our peers obviously influence us that way. If you find yourself surrounded by toxic dialogue and behavior and it's draining you, just remember these words. Okay, a good quote. Though no one can go back and make a brand new start, anyone can start from now and make a brand new ending. And I just got goosebumps, and I hope you did too. Number 6, I misunderstood my fit with the brokerage. Even before I started with my first brokerage, I was confused why they weren't absolutely salivating over the notion of hiring me. I had been a success at the bank, thought they'd be dying to add the additional volume. And some of you may have experienced the same kind of less than enthusiastic reception. And while I won't say this approach is one that I personally share, it is one that's widespread in the mortgage industry. Some brokerages like mine, unfortunately, are receptive to mentoring new agents, but many simply don't want to take on the added burden. And they do consider it a burden. Their past experiences led them to this mindset. Some of them hired new agents that burned them through sloppy work, lackluster effort, or draining them with constant questions and neediness, but not holding up their end of the bargain in terms of effort. I thought I was kind of awesome at the time, but they didn't necessarily see that at all. They saw a potential pain in the neck, and my wife would probably say they're at least partly correct about that part. Anyway, let's talk about some other new misconceptions that new agents have about their situation. Number 1, some forget that they are, in most cases, an independent contractor licensed to work with a brokerage. They are entrepreneurs working under the umbrella of a brand, and that's a very key concept. Number 2, some think it's entirely on the brokerage's shoulder to educate them. The process of figuring out your way in the mortgage business is a learning journey, not necessarily a training journey. The difference between training and learning requires proactive effort on behalf of the one receiving the information. So you, the mortgage agent, you must seek the knowledge, not have it, you're not going to have it force fed into you. And again, training programs are different at every brokerage. But in all cases, no matter what, there still is, you still have a commitment to lifelong learning. And that's something you must embrace. Number three, some new agents are not aware that high splits are earned, not just bestowed upon us. This business is a meritocracy. That's all I'm going to say. Number four, some are surprised to discover that there are very real operating costs to work in this business. You got to budget for them. Number five, they expect leads or handouts. The better mentality is to expect nothing and be pleasantly surprised when things come your way. Do the things that it takes to earn those referrals. Number six, some people, when they struggle, some agents try to pin it on the brokerage's shortcomings. Some companies have great technology, some don't. Some have great forms of support, some don't. At the end of the day, you'll be as successful as you personally choose. And let's stop there. You'll be as successful as you choose. Every single person watching today was born with the components, whatever those components are, needed to become a successful mortgage agent. Some of you are young, some are old, some are tall, some are short, some are fat, skinny, male, female, different races, religions, backgrounds. Every single one of you have the components within you that the most successful mortgage professionals have. Again, however you define success. And nothing can hold back an individual who taps into their own natural resources, so to speak, to make great things happen. I'll also make one very important comment here. If you're in the business as a part-timer, and I know some of you may be, you better think fast and you better make things happen to put yourself in position to transition to full-time. It's a very difficult position. It's difficult to last in the business if you aren't willing to commit to work full-time at it. I hope that doesn't offend anyone. It is one of the truths that we sort of speak about in hushed tones. Number seven, my final mistake. I did not put myself out there enough. There's something comforting about flipping through lender guidelines. It's nice, you want to learn the rules inside out. And of course, this knowledge comes in handy sometimes, but nobody ever made $1 in commissions solely from reading policies. And far too many agents hide behind their computers, reading those PDFs or sifting through Lender Spotlight to see what lenders might do what. And they're missing the point of the job. Imagine a realtor who spends their life studying architecture, contract law, rather than prospecting for new clients. They'll be unemployed and on the street pretty quickly. Not to oversimplify the matter, but I'll make a statement that I believe to be true. I believe in most brokerages, if you can find a client, there will be resources and opportunities within your brokerage to find a way to get that deal done. Your primary rule, of course, if it's a doable deal, your primary rule is to generate mortgage leads and convert them into funded deals. And I was like many of you, I used to bury my face in the training materials, which I should note is a very good thing, but it becomes a bad thing if it's all you're doing. If you devote your entire work week to reading policies from 9 to 5 and consider it an honest work week, you might be technically correct, but you'll be the guy who has $75 coming out of your bank account or girl on payday. What I'm about to tell you is really the key to success in the mortgage business and many other things in life. In order to make a living in the mortgage business and potentially a really great living, you will need to break out of your comfort zone. You need to do some things that make you feel uncomfortable in order to become that success. You need to reach out to your friends and family and ask for their business and ask how you can help them. You need to make calls to your warm database that we talked about earlier. You need to cold call realtors you've never met. And you'd better be prepared to show how you can help them and be able to explain it fast. Your comfort zone is that safe place in front of your computer. Safe place is being too nice and not seizing opportunities. You've got to power through this and dedicate yourself to the things that will make your business grow. How will you know when you're bursting through your comfort zone? You'll know it when you get those butterflies in your stomach and when you hang up your phone and pump your fist that you just landed a Zoom meeting with an awesome realtor. I'm part of a Brain Trust peer coaching group with some of TMG's top producers. When I asked them the number one issue for a new agent, they unanimously said they need to put themselves out there. If I have one wish from today's session, it's that each of you commits to putting yourself out there this week, not next week, not a month from now, this week. Dare yourself to be bold and make phone calls to your connections. And I already know what's going to happen. Good things. Instant success in this business is rare. Success, pardon me, comes with patient urgency. Don't get ahead of yourself, but maintain that sense of urgency and consistency and persistence. Be sure you're aligned with a mortgage brokerage whose values match yours. Respect, decency, honesty. It's a safe place. Bet on yourself. Surround yourself with awesome people. Place integrity above all else. Believe in yourself and be confident. Remember at the beginning, I promised 5 bonus tips. Let's fire them off fast. Number 1, set up your social media immaculately. And if you don't know how to do this, get a friend to help. Be on all platforms and have it be very clear what you do, what your role is, make it sure it's compliant and it's immaculate. Number 2, set up a Google landing page and encourage your fans, your raving fans, to share their feedback, which ultimately is going to bring more clients your way. Go back to that list of key contacts. Reach out to 3 or 4 people every day until you're done, or until you're so busy with new business that you need to deal with the underwriting of the files. Okay. Number 4, buy a sales book such as the one I mentioned and use this as your nighttime reading instead of maybe watching something on TV that drains you. Number 5, the final one, create a specific plan of action for each client you encounter. How are you going to thank them? How are you going to get to know them? How are you going to appreciate them? How are you going to help them? Put yourself out there, friends. And most of all, stay awesome.